to Mike's Garage. We've been doing a little series here on the filter queen equipment. Just so happens I know a lot about it. Today we're going to take the power nozzle apart and show you how to replace the swivel and the electrical connections that go along with it. Hope you enjoy it. Let's go to the shop. Okay, we're at the shop. Once again, this is a filter queen power nozzle. It's the Majestic 360 version. It's also an M11, pretty much just some updates, no real changes. Again, I like to work with it with it facing away from me. And what we've done on the bottom, there's 6 screws on the bottom. I've already taken the 6 screws out. Okay, it's 2, 4, 6 screws. Take those out, turn it over again with it facing away from you, and you hold on to the swivel and you split the case here, the upper and lower housing, and just lift up on that, and it should lift up and lift right away from it. Okay? Now the part we're talking about today is this swivel. This is the part that has the electrical connections and where the wand, your metal pipe or your hose will attach to this. Okay? Now you can see there's 4 screws here that you have to deal with. And this is your mechanism that locks it up in place. When you stand it up, that locks it in place. And over here is a wire nut. It's actually a crush connector. And that's what connects the power. There's also a push on from the swivel to the circuit breaker. So we're going to try to take all of those apart. And I apologize, I took the screws out of the housing right away, so it'd be easier. And I don't have my electric drill, so we're going to take these out. I'll do it as quickly as possible here. And there's 4 screws that hold the swivel in. And like I say, the power goes through the swivel to the brush roll. Now you make sure the on-off switch is on in the hose up at the handle. Most of them have an on-off switch that turns the power nozzle on and off. Okay, that's not too bad. That didn't take long. All right, now the other thing to get the swivel out, one of the things that's also involved with this is the hold down here for the circuit breaker. There's a bracket that goes from the last screw over to the motor, and that's the circuit breaker. Now we took the 4 screws out, and these are the retainers to the swivel. A little horseshoe shaped. There's one on each side, doesn't matter left or right. Okay, and then this lifts out, and also this is the mechanism that locks it in place when it's up or down. You can see then you have to click it to get it to go straight or flat. And that square is going to go in here. You can see a little ball of dust still in here from last time. It's really something how the dust spins around there and makes a ball. Now, the 2 electrical connections are here. Now, why you have to replace that is one of these connections get burnt, it gets dirty, and it gets overheated, and one of them will be a different color than the other, and then you're going to have to replace the swivel. So you take the cover off. There's 4 screws to take the mounting brackets off, okay? And then you have to loosen the bracket on the circuit breaker. Now you know what, we're going to take that all the way out. I'm going to show you the circuit breaker real quick while we're in here. And the circuit breaker is held down by one of the screws on the motor. So we're going to take that out also. Now, there's 2 wires that come out of the swivel. Okay, they go through the circuit breaker. One of them goes right to the motor, and the other one goes through the circuit breaker. It has a push-on connector on one side of it. The other side of it goes into another connector. It's actually called a crush connector. And the way you do that is you put the 2 wires in there and you get a pair of pliers and you crush it. So the vibrations while this thing is running doesn't make it loose, and you lose connectivity, and it'll start shutting on and off if that goes bad. You can also use a wire nut, but you have to make sure you twist everything really tight and store it properly so it'll continue to work. The other thing is the circuit breaker. It's really important to keep this working because if something gets stuck in the brush roll, it won't break the brush roll or burn up the belt. It'll pop the circuit breaker because it gets overloaded, okay? So you take the 4 screws out, take this out. You have to pull one of the connections off the back of the circuit breaker. You have to undo the crush connector and just go ahead and replace the wires and put it all back together. So that's a pretty simple step. And you know, while we're in here, there's just 3 more screws, 1, 2, 3, to take the motor out. The motor's pretty simple to do. It's a very good motor, usually lasts 20 years. If you do suck up moisture or something like that, it does not like moisture at all. Things in here will get rusty or corroded. Does not like moisture at all. So I showed you before where dirt builds up in this area here. If something is vacuumed up that's wet or sticky, you need to avoid that. Make sure it continues to work properly and do the proper maintenance on it also. That will help you in the long run to keep this thing running 20, 30 years. Just gotta know where you get the parts. We do have all the parts here. We are doing mail order. Phone it in. We'll get a hold of your order, call you back. Somebody will pick you up live and we can get the parts out to you. We're here to answer questions, anything you need. So phone number's down in the bottom corner. Check that out, and hopefully that was helpful. And you just reverse the procedure to put this back together. The connectors on the circuit breaker, we're going to put those in. You can't push it in there tight. This has to go in place. You put the hold on in there. That'll hold it down. We're going to put this side in first. To put that in, we got a screw in the motor. One of the screws in the retainer. Screw on the other side of the retainer. This side goes on, the horseshoe goes back on this side. Put the 2 screws in there. Okay, that's all there is to it. Tighten it back up, put it all back together. I'm not going to waste your time for you to sit there and watch me put it back together, but that's how simple it is. As long as you use genuine Filter Queen parts, it should come right apart and go right back together without any problem. If you have a problem, give us a call at the office. We'll be happy to talk you through it. We do have schematics, filters, and anything you need also available. Hope that was helpful. Thanks for watching. Okay, we're back. Hope that video was helpful. Once again, if you have bad connections on that swivel, one of the signs is when you vacuum and you're pushing it forward, it runs fine. When you pull it back, it kind of cuts in and out, or the speed of it changes up and down. And when you push forward, it has a constant speed. And when you pull back, the speed varies, it goes up and down. So it cuts in and out. That's one of the signals that you got some dirty connections there. Try to keep them clean before they overheat and burn up. Once they do that, they have to be replaced. So be conscious of that. If you have any questions, please give us a call here. We have all the parts and filters you would need for your Filter Queen. It's all genuine. We're an authorized distributor. We have schematics. Anything you need, we'd be glad to help you with. Thanks for watching Mike's Garage.